Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Podshop studio launch. I'm Athena, the founder of this interior design studio, Topology, and the host for the talk with Spike tonight. So I have a new podcast coming out called Your Home, a Designer's Guide. And so we thought here with Podshop and myself that it would be just a great opportunity to chat about how important space is, the way that we feel in it, the way we think in it, and importantly, the way we connect with one another in it. And what better way to celebrate the opening of a new creative hub for the conversation with Spike, the visionary behind this studio. Let's talk about space in such a crucial ingredient and what it means to become a meaningful dialogue. So, Spike, let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to create this studio, and was there a key mission behind putting such a strong emphasis and attention to detail to the individual studio designs?
No, thank you. I suppose the first inspiration was our first studio. And the first space was in a co-working space, House of Creative. I think a few of them are downstairs enjoying themselves, so they're still here. Shout out to them. And we held off on doing a video studio because we just wanted to make sure that it was here to stay and not just a fad.
Yeah.
There at the time when we did that one, there were a few studios around, but they were, a room in a co-working space, and they were dressed okay. They didn't have, there wasn't a proper set. They had some plants and bits and bobs, but it didn't look great. Now, I worked in construction for quite a long time and was involved in the interior design and the designs of the spaces. So I was like, you know what, I could have a crack at that. And I think it would just to make it just a little bit more interesting and a little bit nicer to be in, and just feel a bit more like it is a space, a nice place to be
behind
in.
it.
Yeah. So our first studio at Worship Street, that was second studio at Worsham Street. We took the learnings because we did exactly that. We put a space in a co-working space, but just dressed it quite nicely and was working out the ropes and what people liked, what people didn't like. And, we worked out that people like flexibility, they like different layouts and so on. They just like it to look good and sound good and to feel relaxed and comfortable in that space. So lots of learnings from then. Then we opened Worship Street, the second space, which was designed and had some proper sets designed. Not to start off with. Studio One did, we thought about the lighting, the paneling on the walls, shadowing, and, throwing nice shadows up and so on and so forth. Studio Two, we didn't do that. And originally that space was going to be audio only, just so it didn't kind of lock up the bigger studio.
And that's a smaller one, right?
That's the smaller, that's Studio Two at Worship Street. So we very, very quickly, because what happened was I was like, well, look, let's put some cameras in it and we'll do it as a video space. But it ended up being an audio studio with 3 cameras in.
Right.
So, we didn't think about the position and the lights and how things would be. And it just looked a bit shit, to be honest. So there was only a couple of months after we opened, decided to pull it all out and then redesigned it how we did Studio One. Put some paneling on the walls, LED uplighters, like we have in here. It's just creating the
little bit of atmosphere.
So it's not, with these lights above and stuff in this studio, it can look flat really easy. So that was the inspiration for that. And then, in terms of what we wanted to do here, it was just take it that little step further and have more flexibility and variety in the studio spaces that we could offer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to question 2. So you often hear people say that space affects your mindset, right? So from your perspective, what role do you think the environment that we're in really helps people sort of feel comfortable enough to open up and have really genuine conversation? And essentially, do you think that the space can really aid taking conversation from like surface level to actually really meaningful?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think how a space looks and feels on camera is important. If it looks good, people are going to want to watch it. But it's as important to make people relaxed enough to tell you their deepest, darkest secrets. A lot of podcasts are looking into that. Looking into people's lives and things like that. And if you're in a white shiny box that feels cold and clinical, people don't want to You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
when you're talking to a therapist, they're in it. You know, they've got
I mean,
they've got a nice chaise longue or something like that.
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Why do you think all the successful restaurants are like really dimly lit and loads of candles and loads of atmospheric lighting? It just makes people open up and have those great deep conversations.
exactly, and that's what we've tried to do here. So the studio itself, actually, once the door is shut into the control room, I mean, a blessing and a curse is sometimes the height of the ceiling, but it means we can get the lights nice and low on a real low level. Like, it doesn't feel too bright in here, which is perfect. You shut the door into the studio and you've got the kind of the back wall, which is all black. You can't really see the cameras too much.
Yeah, it's so true.
You know, we've got the TV on in here just to view it, but once that's turned off, you kind of forget a little bit.
Yeah.
Because some people do get really nervous when you've got tons of kit around and cameras and microphones, which again doesn't then get you the best content that you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they're in an environment that makes them feel like they're sat at home in the front room, you're going to get a lot more out of that conversation.
It's very clever. It's really interesting as well, like how our kind of psyche works in that way. So question number 3, when designing a podcast studio, I guess it's not really just about acoustics and tech. It's also about the atmosphere, as you've said. So what are the kind of key principles you wanted to weave in to the different studios to make them special and stand out?
So, yeah, I mean, sound and video, and the video quality always comes first. But essentially, we've been able to build a shell, which acoustically sounds really good. Obviously, with video, it's very tricky because you've got a whole side of the studio that you essentially can't acoustically treat.
Yeah.
So a layout like this is perfect, lots of soft furnishings, but if you put the table out in here as an example, that's not quite as good as such. But in terms of what we wanted to do and to kind of show through these spaces, it was to have spaces, like spaces that people recognize, they feel comfortable in, each with them with their own kind of vibe. This studio here, Studio 5, which is one that you did help put together, which was very much appreciated. We wanted it slightly more mid-century, and actually we struggled. This was the one we struggled with. Studio 3 is a replica of Studio 1. Studio 4 is our kind of library space. But this one, I knew we wanted to be kind of mid-century. We just couldn't get it right. So no, I do really appreciate it, considering that you only do residential.
It was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it was still fun to do.
No, that was really appreciated, and I think it's, that's a key point here, isn't it? It's like, you design homes, you design spaces for people, and that's what we wanted to get.
It's actually a very good point. It was essentially just like designing a living room, which I think is why it was a no-brainer to help us kind of like help you tackle it.
Apart from the black ceiling.
Apart from the black ceiling, I'm kind of into it though. Like, do you have to have it like that?
No, I mean, the reason why we've done it here is, again, it's just to draw focus away from everything else.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And the acoustic panels are black as well, so it kind of, plus it is for reflection of the lights as well. So if you have white walls everywhere else, you just get reflections jumping off everywhere.
You said about the cameras is really interesting, because I'd never noticed that they do blend into the background, but is that something that you came up with, or is that like a common thing?
I think it was thought about in principle, but actually once it's in here, it's a little bit different because it is a smaller space. But in our larger studios, they do get really, really lost. And again, that's part of it. It's not just that this looks good; it's that looks like nothing.
It has a purpose in the way that it's done. It's very clever. Okay, let's move on to question 4. So every studio seems to have its sort of own character. As you said, this one has like a mid-century vibe. Which one is your personal favourite? You don't have to just say this one because I helped with it.
No, that's fair enough. I'd say Studio 4, which is our library space. There is a studio in Soho, I'm pretty sure it's called The Library. It's actually a recording studio. It's not a podcast studio as such. But they shoot The Traitors Uncloaked there.
Oh, okay.
And it's fantastic. Like,
is that the one that Gamble does?
Yes.
Yeah.
They've got the Chesterfield leather chairs and, but it's a lovely studio. It's got loads of depth, loads of character, but it is specific to a type of environment. So that was the inspiration for that space.
Nice.
And also Charlotte, my partner in life and in business and crime and all sorts, she always wanted bookshelves. Like, loves books and wants to have a bookshelf and all this stuff. So I was like, well, look, we rent at the minute. We're not going to spend money on a bookshelf. Let's put it in a podcast studio.
Nice. It's like a little nod to her.
Yeah, exactly. You can have your daybed next to the window.
Nice.
Fake window as such, but yeah, that's my favourite. That one's it is a particular type of taste. I don't want to say old worldy, but the furniture looks a little bit older, but it's all brand new kind of thing. But it looks fantastic. We've got kind of the bookshelves with the ladders. The last stream we did with Matt and Chris,
it was a great backdrop to it.
It's cool. I like that space. It was good to put together.
Good. Okay, look, moving on to the final question. To end, looking ahead, what is your hope for how this new studio will be used?
So the hope actually is that people use it for the content that they want to produce, but not just podcasts as well. I think, yes, look, we are a podcast studio. That's what we do first. That's what we focus on. But we've started to do lots of live streaming. So as we are streaming this now, lots of people are streaming their podcasts. People are doing webinars and things like that. So I think, people that are doing content and again just want to get the best out of it, want people to feel relaxed, and that's how we want people to use it. Come in, be relaxed, relax in the breakout space, use the makeup in the changing area and whatnot. But we want it to feel like it's, part of their own home. And I think that is really important. We've had guests come in before and they've had an altercation in the street with someone.
Really?
Yeah. And then they're rattled.
Yeah.
They're just not up for that conversation. So it's just that full experience. And when you walk in, chatting to the team, coming in, getting sat down, it's all incredibly important because it does affect the content.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you so much for sharing your vision with us. It's been a pleasure to talk. And obviously, huge congratulations on the success of this. It's honestly, even from an interior design perspective, just so well curated. I think we can all agree that this studio is more than just four walls. There's so much thought and detail that goes onto it. It really is just an incredible platform for meaningful discussion and creativity. So really excited to see what you guys come up with over the next, year or whatever with these spaces. And to everyone here, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And if you do get time, please don't forget to check out my new podcast, which is coming out, which is called Your Home, A Designer's Guide. Thank you so much and speak to you soon.
I'm Spike O'Connell, the founder of Podshop Studios. We're a podcast production and marketing agency based in central London, and we specialise in super high quality visualised podcasts. The reason why our podcasters choose to shoot with us is because we consistently deliver really high quality, super high polished video productions, and it's something that we're very proud of. Gone are the days where you could shoot a 30-minute podcast on Zoom or with a couple of phones propped up on tripods. It just doesn't really stand. You can tell the difference when it's shot in a studio with proper lighting, proper audio, decent cameras, and everything kind of ties together nicely. So some key requirements for us in terms of image quality would be 4K all day. It's important that we are shooting as high quality as possible. Huge believer in shooting the best we can. I do not agree with the age argument of, it doesn't look that different. It really does. We also need to have the option to shoot in different bit rates. Again, we will always, if we can, shoot in the best quality, but we also have to take into consideration that our clients maybe aren't as experienced with us because we don't post-produce everything. So having that option to choose the bit rate, lower the resolution if we need to, is really, really crucial. And that's why that we've chosen to go specifically with Sony, the Alpha range and the FX range in particular. Really easy to flick between different resolutions, different codecs. In our very short changeovers that we have, the engineers can change all of these settings, and especially when more professional or more experienced producers or directors come in, we can make very specific changes in line with their requirements really, really easily. One of the greatest things about the Sony range is we're able to dial in the colour really nicely before you actually start shooting. Saves tons of time in post-production from a color grading perspective. This is really great for clients that are looking to do some post-production themselves. We've already dialed everything so it's looking nice and warm, the colors are almost correct, and they only need to tweak things a little bit here and there rather than having to do everything from scratch. So prior to switching over to Sony, we'd used and tested out a couple of different brands, but we couldn't really find anything that we were happy with. One, from a consistency point of view. Two, the amount of support and other people as well that are using that cameras was quite a big thing for us as well. One thing I've kind of observed visiting other podcast studios is that everyone is using the Sony ranges. There's very few that are choosing to go down another route, which, there's a reason for that.
I'm Lewis Day, and I am the Chief Studio Engineer here at Podshop. For solo shots in the studio, we use a combination of the Sony FX6 with the Sony 70-200, and that's for the compression you get whilst using the 70-200. Obviously, the FX6 is a full-frame camera. It also has an SDI output, which is important for us because it works with the software that we use for recording backups of the footage. It also suits in with the sort of like ecosystem we've got going on here, with a blend of HDMI outputs and SDI outputs. In our second studio, we've got two FX3s. The studio itself is actually quite a lot smaller than Studio One, so the fact that they're a palm-sized cinema camera plays into that quite well. And by nature, podcasts tend to go on for most of the time over an hour. We are shooting in 4K and 10-bit, so the camera does get quite hot, especially because the small room it's in. And because the Sony FX3 has the built-in cooling system, we don't have this problem. We have people come into the studio all the time, and as soon as they walk in, they'll look at their image on the screen and they'll just be like, wow, I've never seen myself in such high quality. When it comes to clients who are used to using smartphones as well, they're just blown away by how good it is because it is just so many levels above what they're used to.
The future of Podshop Studios hopefully involves expansion all across the UK. We want studios in all of the major cities, and there is no doubt that we will be growing and expanding along with the Sony range, shooting all of our video content moving forward.